wants to buy some guns? Just kidding. Welcome back, West Coast Davengerinos. I'm your host, Dave. I got a wild one for you today. Probably the most unique buy I've ever had. As you can see, this is a ammunition box. Before we get into it, don't forget, like, follow, subscribe, all that stuff. We'll talk about that later. Okay, so today I ended up looking at two collections. They were both up close to Seattle. One was way overpriced. There were some okay books in there, but it was way overpriced. And then as I was going home, as I was heading back home, I found somebody on OfferUp who had a picture of this ammunition box full of comics. And I could see a couple of good books there. And I just hit the guy up. I said, hey, look, I don't know if you're able to meet up right now, but I'm heading home. Otherwise, I'll come take a look at the books. And lo and behold, we met in a parking lot with an ammunition box full of comics. That's right. This is not a gun sale. I am not a small-time arms dealer or anything like that. I deal with comics. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go through it, but I think because of how big and heavy this is, this thing weighs 100-something or probably close to 100 pounds, you're just going to see the stuff that I pick out because there's so much in here and I have to kind of sort through it, take it out of the stinky bags. So I'm going to snap my fingers, and after I snap my fingers, you're going to see what I got in this collection that I paid, I think, $600 for. So here we go. We got a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and we're back. All right. I got through everything in here. I filled up an entire long box of stuff that's going to go to my bulk guy. There is a short box worth of stuff I am going to keep for sale at your nearest West Coast Wednesday, my bi-weekly claim sale. So every 2 weeks I sell books right here on this channel if you're not aware. All right, so why don't we just go through it to begin with. We've got a Spectacular Spider-Man, and I just picked out kind of like this stuff. Nothing super high grade. There are some, VF Plus books that'll be good for me. A lot of this stuff is just going to be mid-grade or a little bit above. Spectacular Spider-Man 64, the first appearance of Cloak and Dagger. One of my favorite issues of all time, Daredevil 181, The Death of Elektra, the double-sized issue by Frank Miller. Bill Sienkiewicz, Moon Knight #1, newsstand. It's just kind of stuff that'll add up to make me money. I'll turn a profit on this, but honestly, it was just fun buying this. I mean, how often do you get to buy a collection in something like this? Star Slayer #10, Star Slayer #2, the first appearance of Dave Stevens' Rocketeer. A couple of copies of the West Coast Avengers. They're not as cool as the West Coast Avengers. First appearance of the West Coast Avengers, a couple of newsstand copies and a direct. The very famous, awesome, the amazingly talented John Byrne cover to Spectacular Spider-Man 101. Look at that. Newsstand. Spectacular Spider-Man 90. This is tied for the second appearance of the black costume. And to go along with that, we've got Marvel Team Up 141, the second appearance of the black costume newsstand. It's an Art Adams, Mike Mignola cover. You really don't get enough, they don't really get enough props for that. Some of the keys that I got were low grade, but that's great because some of you can afford them very cheaply. An Uncanny X-Men 142, Days of Future Past, Part 2, newsstand. This was interesting. This is one of two of the older books in this collection, and it's an X-Men 69. Nice. It's part of the reprint era. It's a square bound, but it's a VF plus, so I can't complain about that. Now, we're going to look at some of the best books I got right here. Got a Wolverine #3, the miniseries by Chris Claremont and Frank Miller. But kind of one of the reasons why I definitely was happy to buy this. 2 copies of Wolverine #1. Newsstand and a direct. The direct's in a little bit better condition than the newsstand, but I'd say maybe like an 8.5 and a 9.0, but not bad for 2 copies that are sitting in this thing. Now let's get to the Secret Wars. So this was a very interesting collection. Let's talk about the collection for a second before I show you some of these Secret Wars books I got. I guess this is technically a speculator collection, like a spec collection from the 80s with multiple copies of a lot of books. There are multiple copies of every Secret Wars book. I haven't seen a collection like this since the Jim Healy Pedigree collection, which is not truly a pedigree, but on this channel it is, where Jim was buying 10, 15 copies of every book, no matter what it was, and he just kind of was buying in the right era. But there are 6 copies of Secret Wars 3 and 6 copies of 5 or whatever. So it was very interesting. And then there is some stuff that probably was in this collection and did not get put into the storage locker in this crate. I imagine there was an Amazing Spider-Man 252 because it had every other issue around that and all the other Black Suit issues. But my guess is whoever put this stuff into storage, got what they could in there and then maybe tossed out the rest. I don't know. It's probably been sitting in there for 30, 40 years. A low-grade copy of Secret Wars 8 newsstand. And then only one copy of Secret Wars 10, but that's a newsstand, the famous Doom cover. I love the fact that I got one of these. This will actually probably make a lot of my money back just by selling this. This is one of these combo packs, 3 comics for $1.69. Nice. It's Secret Wars 4, 5, and 6, so unfortunately it's not any of the keys, but it's still a sealed pack. Now, this is absolutely crazy. 4 copies of Secret Wars 1. Most are direct, but there is one newsstand. As you all know by now, the MCU has retitled some of their movies, but they stuck with the 4th Avengers movie, the 5th Avengers movie, whatever it is going to be entitled Secret Wars. And then finally, I saw this in the photo, so I knew at least there was going to be a decent copy of it in there. This is probably like a 9.0 Secret Wars 8 newsstand, but there you go. The origin of the black costume, and one of the most classic Marvel comic books to exist in the last 50 years. So I'll make my money back on this. That's not going to be a problem. You'll be able to buy some of these books pretty cheap, and I'll have some of this stuff in the $5 rounds. But I honestly just wanted to I really was more buying this for the uniqueness of the fact that this entire collection was inside this ammunition for a cannon. I don't fucking know. I just don't know. But sometimes you just gotta share the uniqueness with the people on the internet, and I think that's honestly what I was really thinking of. I'm like, oh, this would be a fun collection to unbox in front of the camera. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and comment and all that stuff. The podcast direct edition, it's got its own YouTube channel, and it's on every streaming platform. Please give it a listen, subscribe to it, rate it, do all the good stuff. Every other Wednesday is West Coast Wednesday right here on this channel. And I do have a website, westcoastdavengers.com. So enjoy the community that I've kind of cultivated here. All of the great people that join in on these weekly shows and comment down below and listen to the podcast and follow me on Instagram. I really appreciate every single one of you. It keeps me able to do this stuff, and I keep it ad free so that we can enjoy stuff without fucking commercials. All right, I'll see you next week on the Proctologist Comic Guy. And we're back. And a 9.0 here. As